Communication is one of the creative skills that we all possess. It allows us to become amazing people and interact with people from all over the world. We can express our ideas, our thoughts, our emotions, and so much more through our own unique language. And I believe there's a language for everything. And it's when we take the time to learn that language, we can start to really begin the learning process. And I've been playing this amazing instrument called the tabla right here since the age of 6. And to understand the tabla, you have to understand its language. And you have to go all the way back to the ABCs. And the tabla originates from North India, and it consists of 2 drums. And on my right-hand side is the dayan. It's a small treble drum, and on my left-hand side is the bayan. It's the big bass drum. And to learn the alphabet, you will have a certain technique that you use to perform the tabla. And on the right-hand drum, you can hear such words such as na, thin, ti, tun, tit, ter, na, tak. And on the bass, on the baya, you can hear 2 prominent sounds, ge and ge. And the really nice thing about the baya is that it can change pitch. So I can go ge 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 ge, ge 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 ge. It also produces slide notes, ge ge ge. And when you start to progress with the language, you can start to create words. So if I played na and ge, together creates the word da. Din and ge creates the word din. A couple of other words, dage, dati, dinna, ginna, tete kete, tete kata ge digina da, dirigirikada. And this begins the language. The real fun starts to happen when you start to get involved and understand the grammar, because that's when you can start to build patterns, you can start to build rhythms, and we almost become like rhythmical architects. And for example, we can take the 2 syllables, gege and tete, nana and keke. So I can create something from that. Wow, where do you go from that? So the language has power. Developing on from that, what I would like to do is just show you a little demonstration, and I hope nothing else happens. And I'll show you the types of rhythms that from the ABCs you can start to develop and turn into rhythmical patterns. The powder actually helps with sweaty hands, and it stops from squeaking as well. So a lot of people do ask that. Why do you keep doing that? Is it special? And that is a very, very small introduction into the massive world of tabla. And what I really love about the tabla is you can spend lifetimes learning this amazing instrument. You can spend time learning the grammar, the language, the different types of patterns that are all involved. And the other thing that I really love about this tradition is the history. It's steeped in it. So it's immigrated from many countries, and the tabla, as what you see now, has actually formed into today. The other thing that I love is the tradition that is attached to it. And to learn this music, you have to study with your master. And it's a master-disciple relationship. And that's where all the traditional compositions come from, handed down from generation to generation. And I've been lucky enough to study with a great master today since the age of 6, as I said before. And he's taught me a lot about the instrument, not only just the music, but also about life. And what I really love about it is he's been teaching me from such a young age, but now he says to me, Sat, you've got books full of material, and all you're doing is staying at home and practicing. So literally what he was saying is, you learn this amazing language, but you're not going out into the world and communicating with people. So I took his advice, and I packed my tabla, jumped on the next plane, and ended up in South Korea. And in South Korea, I worked as an English teacher for 2 years. And I took my tabla into the class, and I said to the students exactly what I said here today. I played na. And they started to laugh. And I just thought, okay, ignore that. Let's move over to the bayam. And I played ge. And they started to laugh a little bit more. So I was confused. So I played ge, 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 ge. Ge, 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 ge. And they erupted with laughter, and I'm just thinking, why are you laughing? I've only just played 2 notes. And I looked at my co-teacher, and he said, he was in stitches, he said, Sat, play na one more time. So I did. And he said, Sat, na is a Korean word. And I thought, hold on a minute. There's an ancient tradition, master-disciple, compositions, and I was like, it can't be a Korean word. This is a traditional tabla language. And he said, no, it's a Korean word, so I wasn't going to argue with him. And he said, it means me or I, depending on the context that you use it in. And he said, Sat, play ge one more time. So I did. He said, go up, go down. And he said, that word means dog. So through my own music and tradition, I was calling myself a dog. So we started to laugh. So the students were in hysterics, I was in hysterics, but I learned something new. But that moment, something special happened. This gateway opened, and it allowed students who'd never seen the tabla before to ask questions about it. So they were asking questions, how fast can you play? Can you play with K-pop? And I was like, hold on a minute, what's K-pop? So they were telling me what Korean music was, pop music. So through that, I started to inquire and do research about the drumming traditions, and they told me about that. Not only did they want to know about the instrument, they also wanted to know who I was. They wanted to know about my Indian culture, my British culture as well. They wanted to know if I eat spicy food, and if I ate rice for breakfast. And I was like, who eats rice for breakfast? But that gateway allowed me to find out, and it was people of Korea. So it was an amazing experience. But through that gateway, students told me about something special. They told me about samulnori. And samulnori is the Korean traditional drum ensemble. And samulnori loosely translates into playing 4 objects. And those 4 objects were drums. So I did my research, and I went to the local drum studio, and I happened to bump into some master musicians. And these musicians were just incredible. So I turned up, and I expected 4 people, and I did. And these were 4 huge people. 4 huge people with 4 huge drums and massive drumsticks. And the door closed behind me, and I thought, what have I let myself in for? So we sat down, and I quickly realized that these guys couldn't speak any English whatsoever. And I couldn't speak any Korean either. So we sat down, and I thought, I'm going to struggle here. And so we started to communicate, but we communicated through our music. And what was really nice was that gateway appeared again. After they had showed me their rhythmical patterns, I showed them some of the tabla. But when we started to play again, that's when the magic started. We started to create music in such a brand new way. And that would never have happened if I never left my comfort zone at home. And for me, staying in my comfort zone, in my practice, I would never have discovered a new technique, a new way, new rhythms, new patterns. And so I was really, really thankful for that. So that was an amazing experience for me. But I stayed in Korea, as I said, for 2 years. And it's got to be one of the most amazing times of my life. It allowed me to meet new people, experience a whole brand new culture, great food too, and so much more. But that's when I first discovered the true meaning of what travel Sikh actually meant. It's not thrown up in a paper bag. We all travel, whether it's to our friend's house for a cup of tea, or we travel, you know, go to the airport, jump on a plane, go 5,000 miles to the other side of the world to start a new challenge in South Korea. And the word Sikh, that's the religion that I belong to. That's the faith, that's the community I belong to. And it is pronounced that way, but it's also pronounced Sikh. And within Sikhism, there are so many wonderful teachings and philosophies, but the one that I started to really understand was the one of oneness. We became one as humankind. We connected, whether it's people in the class, in the students, the master musicians, the taxi drivers, the people in the supermarkets. They all wanted to know about me, but I also wanted to know about them. You know, it didn't matter what race or religion I belonged to or they belonged to, but we all became people. It was an amazing experience. But the one thing that I really love about the word Sikh is it means to learn. And that's what I love to do. When I put those two words together, I love to go and travel, but I also love to learn. But it also taught me about who I was, who I belonged to, the rich culture, the British heritage, my Indian heritage, my cult, Sikh, religion as well. So it was so much more than that. And for me, I believe that everything has its own language, whether it be my tabla, whether it be my camera, whether it be in the sciences, technology, engineering, you name it. You know, it's when we take that time to understand what the na and the ge is, we can start to open gateways. And that's when we can start to seek new experiences. Thank you.